The galaxy's greatest lie: the galaxy was old. Older than memory. Stars were born, burned, and died while empires rose and fell between them. Many species believed the universe followed clear rules. Power ruled. Order survived. Weak worlds vanished. This was the truth the galaxy taught itself. One of those who believed this was an alien named Valor. He was not important. He was a record keeper on a border world of the Carthian Union. His task was simple. He watched the skies. He logged signals. He trusted the Union to protect him. The Carthian Union was vast. Its fleets filled space like metal storms. Its laws were strict. Its leaders claimed nothing could threaten them. They said the galaxy was stable. They said fear was a tool used only on lesser species. Valor believed them. His world was called Nerith. It was quiet. Oceans covered most of its surface. Tall cities rose from stone islands. The sky was always blue. Valor had a family there. He had routines. He thought the future was safe. Then the sky changed. At first, it was only a strange shadow. Stars dimmed for a few seconds, then returned. Sensors failed and reset. Reports were delayed. The Union command said it was nothing. A natural event. A data fault. Valor felt uneasy. The silence between reports felt wrong. Days later, the shadow returned. This time it stayed. Something massive blocked the stars. Not one object, but many. Shapes without clear edges. Ships that did not follow known designs. They moved without formation, without signals, without warning. The Union fleets arrived late. The battle was short and brutal. Union warships fired first, confident and loud. The enemy did not answer. They simply moved forward. Union weapons failed. Systems shut down. Ships drifted, blind and silent. Valor watched from the city tower as the sky burned. Light fell like rain. Explosions broke the clouds. The ocean boiled where debris fell. Sirens screamed across Nerith. The Union command went silent. Then the ground shook. Energy strikes hit the planet's surface. Cities vanished in white fire. Shields collapsed. Towers fell. Valor ran through smoke and falling stone. He felt heat tear the air. He smelled ash and metal. He heard screams cut short. His home was gone when he reached it. Only a crater remained. No signs, no bodies. Just dust. Fear became pain. Pain became numbness. Evacuation orders came too late. Transport ships were destroyed in orbit. Escape routes burned. Nerith was abandoned by the Union that promised safety. Valor hid underground with others. They waited. They counted time by shaking walls and fading screams. Above them, the world ended. When the attack stopped, there was nothing left to save. The enemy left without claiming the planet. They did not occupy it. They did not speak. They simply erased it and moved on. Days later, rescue ships arrived. Union ships. Too few. Too quiet. Valor was taken from the ruins and placed among survivors. The Union officers called the event an accident. A rare threat. They said order would return. Valor did not believe them anymore. While recovering on a refugee station, he accessed old records. He searched for patterns. For meaning. He found reports the Union had hidden. Worlds erased before. Signals ignored. Borders shrinking. And in one damaged archive, he found something strange. A forgotten system. Marked as dead space. Once explored. Once settled. By humans. The notes were brief. The species was listed as weak, short-lived, divided. Their colonies were marked as failed or lost. No threat, no value, yet the system showed new signals now. Ancient signals. Waking signals, Vaylor stared at the data. His world was gone. His faith was broken, and somewhere in the dark, something long forgotten had begun to move. The ones who refused to fade the refugee station drifted near the edge of Union space. It was cold and crowded. Survivors from many worlds lived there now. Vaylor spent most of his time alone, surrounded by screens and old data. Sleep came in short bursts. When it did, it carried the sound of fire and breaking stone. The Union said the attacks were rare. They said order still held. But Vaylor saw the truth in the records. More systems had gone silent. More patrols failed to return. The galaxy was not stable. It was breaking, slowly, quietly. Vaylor focused on the forgotten system. The one linked to humans. The data was old. Very old. Human records were scattered and incomplete. Their history showed conflict, mistakes, and loss. They fought each other often. They lived short lives. They lacked natural armor, sharp claws, or strong bodies. Compared to other species, they seemed fragile. The Union had never feared them. Most reports described humans as emotional and stubborn. They formed bonds easily. They mourned deeply. They carried memories of pain across generations. To the Union, these traits were weaknesses. Emotion led to errors. Attachment led to hesitation. That belief was shared across the galaxy. Vaylor read deeper. He noticed something strange. Human colonies often survived longer than expected, even after supply lines failed, even after contact was lost. Some lasted decades without support. Others vanished, then reappeared in records years later. Humans did not disappear easily. One colony stood out. The lost colony in the dead system. Records showed it had been cut off by a space storm centuries ago. No rescue was sent. The Union assumed the humans had died. The system was marked closed and forgotten. Yet the new signals were coming from there. Vaylor studied the signal patterns. They were slow, heavy, repeating. Not a call for help. Not a greeting. They felt like a heartbeat, old, steady. Patient. He shared his findings with Union analysts. They dismissed them. Humans were not a threat. Even if a colony survived, it would be weak. Time alone would have broken them. Vaylor felt anger rise. He remembered Nereth. He remembered how the Union ignored the early signs. How confidence became silence. He continued his research alone. He learned about human survival methods. They used simple tools in complex ways. They adapted environments instead of fleeing them. They reused broken systems. They built backups for everything. And then backups for the backups. Most important of all, humans planned for failure. Their records spoke of endurance. Of standing firm even when hope was gone. Humans did not always win, but they rarely surrendered. They fought losses with memory. They turned grief into purpose. Vaylor realized the Union had misunderstood them. Emotion did not make humans weak. It made them persistent. Pain did not stop them. It pushed them forward. If the lost colony survived centuries of isolation, it would not be helpless. It would be hardened. One night, alarms echoed through the station. Power flickered. Navigation systems reset. For a brief moment, stars outside the windows shifted in impossible ways. Then everything returned to normal. Union Command blamed a glitch. Vaylor checked the sensors. The disturbance came from the direction of the dead system, the human system. This time, the signal was different, stronger, clearer. It was not random anymore. It was active. Vaylor felt fear grip him, mixed with something else, hope, or maybe dread. The galaxy believed humans were weak, forgotten, broken by time. Vaylor now understood the danger of that belief, because something that endures pain Isolation and abandonment does not simply survive. It changes. And far beyond Union space, in a system the galaxy erased from memory, the signal grew stronger, as if answering a call no one else could hear. When the galaxy chose to look away, the Union could no longer ignore the signs. 3 patrol fleets vanished near the outer systems. Long-range relays went silent. Trade routes collapsed without warning. Worlds waited for reports that never came. Fear spread, even if the leaders refused to name it. The High Council called it a correction phase, a minor threat. They said control still existed. They said the galaxy had faced chaos before and survived. Vaylor watched the announcements from the refugee station. He saw the calm faces. He heard the same words that had been spoken before Nereth burned. This time, the Union acted faster. A suppression fleet was sent toward the dead system. Thousands of ships. Enough firepower to crush a small empire. Their mission was simple. Enter the system. Find the source of the signal. Erase it. No negotiations. No questions. To the Union, this was not war. It was maintenance. Vaylor followed the fleet through restricted channels. He should not have had access, but the Union systems were stretched thin. Errors were common now. As the fleet entered the system, sensors showed something unexpected. There were structures, not drifting wrecks, not ruins. Active constructions. Orbital platforms surrounded the inner planets. Old in design, but maintained. Energy fields pulsed around them, slow and steady. No weapons fired. No warning sent. The fleet commanders laughed. The structures looked primitive, heavy, inefficient, human-made. The Union advanced. The first ship crossed the inner boundary and stopped, not destroyed. Not damaged. Stopped. Its engines shut down at once. Power drained from its core. The ship drifted, silent. Then another ship failed. And another. Panic spread through the fleet. Commands were sent. Orders repeated. Systems refused to answer. Something in the system was suppressing them. The Union responded with force. Long-range weapons fired from the outer edge. Energy beams crossed space and struck the platforms. The platforms did not fall. They absorbed the impact. Fields flared. Structures held. Then the response came, not an attack. A signal. It moved through the fleet like a wave. Not fast, not violent, calm. Heavy. Every Union ship received it at the same time. Navigation collapsed. Weapons shut down. Artificial minds went dark. Crews were left alone in silent hulls, surrounded by stars they could no longer escape. Vaylor felt the shock even from the station. Power flickered again. Gravity stuttered. For a second the station drifted without direction. Then it passed. Union command cut the feed. Official reports later claimed a system malfunction caused the losses. The fleet was said to be regrouping. The situation was under control. But Vaylor knew better. He accessed survivor data. Only a handful of ships had escaped. Their crews were broken. Their reports were censored, but fragments leaked through. They spoke of pressure, of weight, of the feeling that space itself was watching them, judging them. They said the humans never fired a shot. The Union leaders were furious, not afraid. Not yet. They ordered a second wave, larger, heavier. This time, planetary strikes were approved. Total cleansing. The galaxy would not be challenged by a lost colony. Vaylor felt a deep sense of dread. Not for the humans, for the Union, because whatever the humans had built did not act like a weapon. It acted like a rule, a law written into space. And laws did not care how powerful you believed yourself to be. As the second fleet prepared to jump, a new signal spread beyond the dead system. It reached listening posts, trade hubs, border worlds. It was ancient, clear, human, not a threat. A warning. And for the first time in his life, Vaylor realized the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. It had chosen to provoke something that had learned to survive without mercy, without hope, and without permission. The laughter before the fall, the second Union fleet was larger than any before it. It filled space with steel and light. From the outside, it looked unstoppable. Thousands of ships moved as one. Their weapons were charged. Their crews were confident. The Union High Council watched from safe distance. They showed calm faces to the galaxy. They spoke of control and order. They called the humans a minor error from the past. Across many worlds, other species watched in silence. They remembered lost planets. They remembered broken promises. But they said nothing. The fleet entered the human system. This time, the Union did not hesitate. Planetary weapons fired at once. Streams of energy struck the orbital platforms. The stars themselves seemed to shake. Union commanders recorded the attack. They wanted proof. They wanted history to show their strength. For a brief moment, it looked like victory. Several platforms cracked. Debris drifted away. Energy fields flickered. Union officers laughed. They declared the humans finished. Then space changed. The stars dimmed. Not from shadow, but from silence. Sensors stopped reading distance. Time markers lost meaning. Ships began to drift out of formation. Even though engines were firing at full power, the humans still did not attack. Another signal spread through the fleet. Deeper than before, heavier. Crew members felt it in their bodies. A pressure behind the eyes. A weight in the chest. Not pain. Awareness. Union commanders shouted orders. Systems ignored them. Backup systems failed seconds later. Manual controls did nothing. The fleet was blind. One ship exploded without warning. No impact. No weapons fire. Its core simply collapsed inward, crushed by forces no sensor could measure. Then another, and another. Panic replaced laughter. Some ships tried to flee. Jump drives failed. Others tried to fire blindly into space. Weapons turned to dust inside their chambers. The laws they depended on were being taken away. From the refugee station, Vaylor watched fragments of the battle through broken feeds. He felt cold fear spread through him. Not because the Union was losing, because the humans were still holding back. The human platform stopped taking damage. The broken ones reassembled themselves, drawing debris back like broken bones healing. New structures emerged from orbit. Old designs, heavy, slow. Purposeful. Union leaders demanded a full assault. They authorized extinction-level strikes. They ordered the use of forbidden weapons. Those weapons never activated. Instead, a third signal spread. This one reached far beyond the system. It touched nearby trade routes. It brushed against distant worlds. Every species felt it differently. Some felt fear. Others felt grief. A few felt strange comfort. It carried memory. Images followed. Broken planets. Burning skies. Lost cities. Silent graves. Not just human memories, memories of every world that had suffered under galactic rule. The Union tried to block the signal. They failed. The humans were not speaking to fleets or leaders. They were speaking to the galaxy. The Union High Council cut all public channels. They declared the humans an existential threat. Emergency laws were passed in moments. Fleets across Union space were recalled. Borders closed out too late. More systems began to change. Faster than light routes collapsed. Command networks fractured. Artificial minds across the Union shut down at once. The galaxy's order was failing. Vaylor realized the truth then. The humans had not built weapons to win wars. They had built systems to hand them to remove control from those who abused it. Union had laughed at humans because they thought emotion was weakness. They were wrong. Emotion was memory. Memory became resolve. And resolve became something far more dangerous than firepower. As the last clear image from the Second Fleet faded, Vaylor saw one final update appear on his screen. A new structure had activated near the center of the human system, larger than any before it. Older. Its signal was spreading outward, slow and unstoppable. And for the first time, the galaxy understood something was coming that could not be negotiated with, threatened, or destroyed. The day the galaxy stopped obeying, the new structure did not move. It did not glow or fire weapons. It simply existed at the center of the human system, vast and heavy, like a dark star made of metal and memory. Around it, space behaved differently. Light bent. Signals slowed. Time itself felt thick. Union fleets across nearby sectors froze in confusion. Orders were sent, but never arrived. Command chains broke apart. Entire armadas sat idle, waiting for instructions that would never come. The galaxy systems, built on control and speed, began to fail. The humans had touched something deeper than force. They had reached the rules that held the galaxy together. The structure activated in stages. Each pulse spread outward like a slow wave. Wherever it passed, faster than light travel, shut down. Artificial minds went silent. Automated defenses powered off. Worlds that depended on constant oversight were suddenly alone. At first, panic ruled. Trade worlds starved. Military outposts drifted without guidance. Rulers screamed into dead channels. The galaxy had never known silence on this scale. But the humans did not strike. They did not invade. They did not demand surrender. They waited. On the refugee station, Vaylor watched the chaos unfold. He felt fear, but also clarity. The humans were forcing the galaxy to experience what they had endured for centuries. Isolation. Uncertainty. The need to rely on oneself. Union leaders called this an attack. They labeled it mass terror. They tried to rally what power remained. But without instant travel and central control, their empire fractured. Local commanders made their own choices. Some abandoned their posts. Others tried to rule alone. Many failed. Strangely, some worlds began to stabilize. Without constant pressure from above, smaller species organized their own defenses. Old rivalries paused. Trade routes were rebuilt the slow way. Trust replaced fear in places where it had never existed before. The humans watched it all. Another signal spread from the human system. This one was not heavy. It was quiet. Simple. It carried no threat. It carried a single idea. No rule is eternal. The message reached even the broken Union Council. They understood then that this was not revenge. The humans were not trying to rule the galaxy. They were ending the idea that anyone should. The Second Union Fleet was gone. Not destroyed, but rendered useless. Their ships still floated in space, powerless. Crews were alive, trapped, forced to survive without orders, without certainty. For the first time, the Union tasted what it meant to be weak. Vaylor felt a strange sense of justice. Not joy. Not victory. Balance. The humans had suffered in silence for generations. Lost, forgotten, declared dead. Now the galaxy was listening, and it was afraid. The great structure pulsed again. This time, the wave reached farther than before. Systems far from human space felt it brush past them. Like a warning hand on the shoulder, the galaxy was no longer obeying its old masters. and no one knew how far the human reach would extend, because the structure had not finished activating, and the final phase had not yet begun. The species that would not kneel the galaxy changed slowly. Then all at once, without faster than light travel, the great empires could not hold themselves together. Borders lost meaning. Messages took months, then years. Authority faded into memory. The Union tried to adapt, but it had been built on speed and fear. Without them, it began to crumble. Worlds once ruled by distant fleets now stood alone. Some fell into chaos. Others found strength they never knew they had. Old enemies stopped fighting, not out of peace, but out of need. Survival forced cooperation. And always, the human structure remained. It did not chase. It did not expand. It simply existed, steady and patient. A reminder written into space itself. Valor left the refugee station months later. He joined a small convoy heading toward neutral space. Along the way, he saw things he never thought possible. Union warships helping civilian vessels. Former enemies sharing resources. Fear still existed, but it was no longer directed upward. It was shared. Information about humans spread across the galaxy. Not myths, not legends, records, history.